now we're going to go into our more challenging functional exercises. If you've been through the basics and those are too easy for you and you're looking for a little bit more strength development with functional movement, this video will suit you better. You have to start to be careful now because we're going into more complicated movements, combining some movements. You really have to be aware of your core and the muscles that you're using, especially once we start to add weight. My suggestion, if these movements are new to you, is just to start learning the movement, the technique, engaging the proper muscles before you start to add weight. Adding weight will give you more strength, but if you're doing poor technique, you're setting yourself up for potential injuries. So we're going to go through 5 functional exercises. The first one being squats. Right now I'm just going to show you basic squat technique and how to add weight to that. If you have trouble with squats or you're leery of them, then you can go back to my video on squat technique and all the modifications that you can do for that. Okay, so functional exercise number 1 is the squat. So it looks like this, remembering we need to focus on alignment, hips, knees, and ankles stacked up nicely. We don't want our knees caving in. We want our arms moving with us. This is engaging the muscles along our spine in the back. That's called our posterior chain, and we want to be engaging those as well. That's why we've got the arms moving. From the side, we want to make sure the knees are staying as far back as possible, definitely not getting near the big toe or going past the big toe, sending the hips backwards, engaging the glutes, and engaging the abdominals to protect the spine through this motion. Always go through full range. When you're coming up to the top of the movement, you keep your glutes and your abs and your quads clenched right to the very top. Everything is engaged. Okay, so that's the squat technique. If you want to add weight to that, an easy way to do it is just with dumbbells. There's lots of different ways to do it. But if you want to have some dumbbells and you want to just add some weight, just make sure that when you're holding on to the weights, you've got your shoulders pulled back and your upper body's in alignment as well. So we're basically going through the same motion, but now the arms are not coming forward because they're focused on holding the extra resistance. So we're going down into our squat. Same technique principles apply. The arms are just hanging down. So as you go through the motion, the arms are actually just staying in that same vertically hanging position. Really important here to keep the glute muscles, the butt muscles, the abs, and the quad, thigh muscles engaged. So squeezing the glutes, squeezing the thighs, and squeezing the abdominals as you go through this range, and especially as you come up to the top of the range. Okay, so it looks like this, nice and slow. Keep the head and chest up, and always checking your alignment, keeping those knees back as far as you can. Okay, so that's squat with weight. Now we'll go into the lunge. Second really great functional exercise. We use lunges for lots of different things and requires relying on one leg at a time. So just go through a stationary lunge first. We want the feet in parallel. So the feet are actually still hip width apart, but one is forward of the other. Quite a wide stance. We're going to drop the back knee and keep the front shin vertical. Okay, as we drop the back knee, we come up onto the ball of the foot. So the heel is releasing, and we're dropping the knee straight down, keeping this front shin vertical so that we're not loading up the knee by going forward. So I'll do a few, looks like this. Pressing back at the top, abdominals are engaged, spine is nice and straight, posture is good. From the side, looks like this. Dropping down, pressing back, dropping down, pressing back. So if you do that, that's a stationary lunge, one leg at a time. More advanced will be an alternating lunge. So this requires more stability through your core, more balance, more coordination. It's a progression. So we drop down into that lunge, same technique applies, and then we push out of it. And then we switch down and up, and down and up. The thing here is we don't want to lose our technique as we're creating movement through the exercise. So you have to be really careful with that. That's alternating lunge. And then the other type of lunge that I'll go through here is a traveling lunge. So again, a little bit more of a progression in terms of challenge. Traveling lunge, dropping down, and moving forward. And being really careful still about your technique. I'll go the other way. Dropping straight down and keeping those angles safe for knees and hips and low back. Always engaging through the core. So that's a lunge. We can also add weight to that as well if you want to by holding on to those dumbbells. Starting with small weight and then increasing the weight as we get stronger. Okay, so that is our lunge. Now we're going to go into some upper body work, and then we're going to combine upper and lower body. So go into a press up. So in the basic functional movement video, I talked about always being able to raise your arms over your head. So we're going to add that with weight now. When you're doing standing exercises, you really want to engage quads, glutes, abdominals. So squeezing the bum, tightening the quads, and tightening the abs so that if someone was going to come and punch you or push you over, you would have lots of stability, stabilizing your core. So holding weights, start small. These are 5s, you could start even smaller. And to get the weights to the starting position, you'll bend your knees and then bring your weights to your shoulders and then back to that stable position. And now we're pressing up. You can start by pressing one at a time, straight up over your head. It's really important to keep your shoulders back and down to maintain the alignment within the shoulder, ball in the socket. More challenging would be both at the same time. So holding the weights like this is going to be a little easier than going to here. So from here, pressing straight overhead, keep your head looking forward, keep your shoulders pulled back and down through the whole motion. You don't want those shoulders rolling forward, and maintaining your tight quads and glutes and abdominals. And then final progression is to swing the weights out. This requires more mobility in the shoulders. So same stable posture. Again, you can start one at a time if you want to, and you can progress to both at the same time. So it looks like this. Really focus on engaging those shoulder blade muscles throughout the motion. So keeping them pulled back and down as you press up, and then keep pulling them back and down as you bring the weights to here. Okay, so that's your dumbbell press up. Now what we're going to do is we're going to combine some of those movements into kind of a classic powerlifting technique, which is going to involve your squat. Okay, so if you had to lift something off the floor, this is your safest way to do it. From here, this is why you want to practice your squat. From here, you lift to here using your legs for power. So down to here, I've still got my knees back, not over my toes. And as I come up, I'm using my legs and my glutes to bring me to here. At this point, I've got my quads, my glutes, and my abdominals strong. Then I bend my knees and I bring my weights to here. Now I'm into my press up position. From here, we go up. Back down to here, back down to here, and we're ready to start again. So from here, we go down to the floor. If you can only get to here, that's okay. You can also have your weights like suitcases. If that's easier for you to start with, you can go to here. Main thing is when you come up, you have to use your muscles and get to this stable position. Bend the knees again, and then bring the weights to here. Shoulders down, pressing up. Back to here, and we're ready to start again. I'll just go through it again one more time. Down to the floor, using our legs to get to here, tightening the quads and the thighs and the abdominals. From here, bend the knees, bring the weights up, press overhead, back down, and back to the starting point. Okay, so that's a lift. This is the lift. This part is called a clean, and then we have our press. So nice functional multi-movement exercise. Quite challenging. Start out with small weights or no weights until you get the technique. Okay, and the last exercise I'm going to show you is a diagonal movement. Again, very functional. We use our body in rotation fairly often. So we'll have a small weight. You can start with no weight until you get the exercise technique down properly. So we're gonna take our weight to the floor. We're still basically using our same squat technique. So send our hips back, bend the knees, but this time you're reaching towards your opposite foot. You're gonna pull the weight up and then overhead to the opposite side. Reverse, down to the hip, down to the floor. We'll do it a little faster from here, up to here. You can follow with your head on this motion. So this is what it looks like in real speed, but you have to make sure that you're using all your same techniques that I just taught you for the squat and the press. We'll switch arms from here, lifting up to here, and down. So it's combining the motions again. If you're not comfortable with the individual squat and the individual press, you want to practice those first to get confident. You also want to practice the stable posture. Tighten the bum, tighten the quads, tighten the abdominals, so that from the side your back is nice and flat. We don't want your back arched during these motions. That's really hard on the low back. So the stable posture looks like this. So we really want to make sure that's automatic, so when we're doing these exercises, we're protected. Okay, so those are our more challenging functional exercises.